Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, innovating, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host from Paul.A.D, the one, the only Master Propaganda Heroes like defend over the fatherland of you to a 1v1 on Crossroads Winter. In the north, it is Paul.A.D fighting for the Red Army in the Soviet Union. Comrade Stalin here with the 4th Guards Tank Corps with airborne troops, mechanized support, and Guard motor. In the south, it is Jimmy fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 20th Panzer Division with Spearhead, Mechanized Assault, and Lightning War. Double Gunneer start versus double conscripts, going heavy on infantry on both sides. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my patron supporters. Without them and the wonderful support, the Propagandacast would not be possible. So big thanks and cheers to all those. Other people can join the heroic ranks by pledging on Patreon, or they can donate by PayPal. Links are in the video description. And I'll let you know, if you're pre-ordering Counter C, consider doing so with the link in the comments. Use the CoH2 3G as it is written there, that is all caps, and I get a 15% cut the sale. Very nice for me, and you get the game. I'll let you know, comment, like, share, subscribe, talk about the video. So, double Gunneers here, like, gonna go for 4 Gunneers, Paul.A.D gonna go for 4 conscripts. Again, we're seeing more and more infantry, focused builds, at least infantry heavy builds, which I think is a really sensible thing, really, logical development. But also again for the Wehrmacht, we're just seeing more and more players kind of skipping out on the MG42 early on. And for those wondering, why is that? Well, partly it's because the MG42, while sort of powerful, the problem is there's an element that undercuts it, and it is unreliable. It has an issue with its tracking, meaning like enemy infantry can at times just walk right past it. And this element, I think, makes it to some players, well, a little less desirable. Plus, if you lose it to, for example, the Soviets, early game, it's going to feel really, really awful because then they have a 6-man MG42, and that's really difficult to deal with. So, while they don't skip on it entirely throughout the game, they'll typically wait until they have a larger force to, hide the MG42 behind. So it's not, again, like the MG42 is considered weak, but there is a significant reliability issue there that is, basically causing more and more Wehrmacht players to sort of go, maybe I should wait on it just a bit. So, anyways, heavy infantry builds here. And of course with Paul.A.D, that means a bunch of SVT-40 semi-automatic rifles. Constantly shot to bits here, but they're going to use the Kar-90Ks quickly dropping Yuri and Sergei there like bags of potatoes out of the back of a truck somewhere in the Ural Mountains. South side news flank up behind the Gunneers here so far. Paul.A.D quickly trying to build up a larger force in these and swarm. Jimmy's right flank is definitely exposed here, not a bad idea. Relying on sheer socialist force here against the Germans, the fascists. The Gunneers here overwhelmed, forced to fall back here in the face of the swarming conscripts. Pioneers did busy sandbagging in the west. Got the conscripts going after them there pretty aggressively. Gunneers retreating back here. No tech yet for Jimmy. I mean, theoretically, we're going to go for like a 5th Gunneer squad here. We haven't seen, 5 Gunneer builds. But I don't think he's going to go for that without taking out first. But, Jimmy could easily prove me wrong here. But you might let Paul.A.D just relying again on the swarm, the blob. And here we sort of see again, like, a sort of counter development here. It's like, okay, the Wehrmacht player didn't go for an early MG42. Let's just blob the stuffing out of him. And of course, this does force Jimmy to go for the MG42, but again, he now has a significantly large amount of infantry to work together with an MG42. So even if the tracking, bails on him, because the gunner apparently, is cross-eyed or something, then, he's not completely, shit out of luck, which he will always be like, it's like one of his first units and things go sour there, for example. So, again, we're sort of seeing, those slight developments here as, again, more and more Wehrmacht players realise the MG42 isn't all it's quite cracked up to be because, again, of this tracking issue. So, Paul.A.D, of course, exploring this to just swarm up and blob him, hit him hard there, as Jimmy was also crucially rather extended with all his Gunneers. We do see some troops trading now, but again, carve upon hit, resources hit, though he's doing the same in the east. Jimmy, I think in this regard at least, quickly realising what Paul is up to and exploiting that fairly well. So thumbs up there to Jimmy. But he definitely needs to take up soonish. Conscripts are pressed routed. So there you go, MG42 ready. The German infantry was built around the MG42, though of course for the average infantry squad it would have been the LMG42. This would have been more like, shall we say, a company level where they'd be sort of attached to their little separate platoon. Little fun fact there though. And these grab the Eastern Point here. Weapon drops of Paul.A.D, the S-5040 semi-automatic rifle. Disc is also being airdropped there. A third-hand machine gun there. Constant pushing eastwards, developed by the same guy who developed the DP-27 light machine gun and the PPD-40 submachine gun. Fun fact there, he was basically a very prolific designer. Constantly swarmed to the eastern side there, swarm the gun is pushing them back here. A flood of infantry there. And Jimmy, in an interesting maneuver, goes for mechanized assault without any assault grenadiers. I mean, obviously the commander still offers a lot there. They do like the assault grenadiers personally, even if they are a bit flawed. But I still find they're quite fun in the right, situation. They can still be quite powerful, and particularly getting up to 6-man upgrades. I think they're quite solid. But yeah, you still got the mechanized assault groups. The Sugi, I think, is pretty solid. You got the artillery barrage, which is handy, and of course the Tiger tank is basically just like a really big Panzer IV, unfortunately. But it's not terrible. Anyways, aiming towards the Contras here. Pioneer's going to charge in here. That's it. You can see Jimmy's sort of getting pretty aggressive in terms of spreading out. He's got a bit of here, get to the east. And again, Paul.A.D could try and swarm him if he's not careful. We'll have to see what Jimmy's planning here. Could it be a mechanized assault group? A bit of mechanized infantry. Got demo charging behind the building here, ready to blow it up in case of any German incursions. Of course, signs of Trotsky's ghost. Trotsky's ghost? Yeah. It's totally real. How would the explosives work on that? Well, we entomb them within the building, and then Trotsky's ghost will be banished for about 27 days. Pioneers to come from the east. Jessica there, of course, also applying pressure to Jimmy and Germany. Machining them westwards there. More airdrop weapons here. Bit of skirmish from the east, the Pioneer versus the conscripts. Does feel like he's going to go for that mechanized assault group. I mean, we've got no gunners reinforcing. There we go. 250 half-track there with some Panzergunde inside, with a Sturmgewehr 44 or MP44s or MP43-1s, whatever version of it was. Some minor variations in all those, except MP44 and Sturmgewehr 44 anyways. I'll be rushing it with the 250 half-track here, Leichter Schützenpanzerwagen. Part of a division's reconnaissance regiment, typically the, Aufklärer Battalion. There you go. Panzer there wiping that. They're quite good for hunting down units, wiping that. They're appearing out of flank very unpleasantly. So there you go. That's going to be a wipe here on Paul.A.D in the early game. Really going to be a strong wipe here. That's it. T-Sumner here for Paul.A.D, of course. Jimmy has 0 anti-tank weapons in a pinch, though he can add Panzerschrecks here to the Panzergrenadiers. Die Raketen-Panzerbüchse. Yeah. Also, fun fact, typically there'd be 2 half-tracks per infantry squad, which each half then riding a separate half in there. Fun fact. And then, of course, a bunch, then a platoon. So, T-Sumner almost done there for Paul.A.D. Really cool half-track. I really like the look of the German half-tracks. Big fan of them. Anyways, pressing through here. Quite a bit of aggressive mechanized infantry action here from Jimmy. Also puts him at 5 infantry squads here. As mentioned, 5 infantry squad builds becoming much more common as people just realize having a bunch of infantry is both good offensively and defensively. And if you outnumber your opponent with infantry, a bunch of the time you can actually do some really effective stuff as well, as long as you're not a complete putz. So, T-smashing forwards here, and again, no anti-tank weapons yet, but I'd not be surprised if this does an assault in a Panzerschreck upgrade on those Panzergrenadiers very, very soon, because he's got otherwise nothing that can really respond to this T-70 now, though I could be wrong, he may not go for it. He may have other plans, other dreams of Soviet armored annihilation. No, he does go for the Panzerschrecks. Of course, a bit of shame to having to downgrade here in a sense, but at the same time, it'd be an even bigger shame if he starts losing infantry to the T-70, so damned if you do, damned if you don't. All the way, the T-7 with the damage engine rushing straight for the troops here, going hard in for Deutschland. There we go, routing both squads. Panzerschrecks are almost ready. Graham the Eastern Field as well. The good play there by Jimmy in the west. Paul.A.D striking hard here on the carve points and the field on the west here. Rushing into the conscripts. Panzerschreck team ready here. May have to rush out of the pop out of the half-track here before they, gets blown out, in which case the Panzerschreck get wiped, at least suffer losses. That's it. Not the best position to be stuck right in front of a T-70 here, but there it goes. Still takes out the T-70 light tank. I mean, as long as it doesn't lose to the Panzer Grenadiers, losing a half-track for the T-70 is, you know, decent trade-off, honestly. They're about 200 manpower and 20 fuel. So, I mean, that's not terrible for a T-70, which is significantly more expensive than that. Well, 260 manpower, but 70 fuel. So, at this point, Jimmy could consider taking up here. Maybe Russia a Stugi. The Sturmgeschütz 3 Ausführung E. Constant push from the Corps on the east. More infantry up the east side here for Paul.A.D. Like to make a nice company upgrade to the eastwards there. Calf one hit. Machine Gewehr here is the conscripts. There's some pretty aggressive action here so far. And Paul.A.D, of course, now goes for a bit of surprise for the second T-70. You will see some players go for it. It obviously has its risks, but at the same time, if it pays off successfully, you can really throw up your opponent, but also do a lot of damage. But at the same time, if it fails, you're obviously in a pretty exposed position, in particular for Jimmy here. If he's like starts pushing for medium armor soon, like even Russia a Stug, the T-70 could be pretty aggressively quashed, or squashed even, at which point Paul.A.D might feel a bit awkward. So we'll have to see what happens next between Paul.A.D and Jimmy. Second T-70 light tank out it for Paul.A.D there in the Red Army. That's it. This is sort of, again, a play you'll see by some more of the aggressive players, and Paul.A.D definitely overall is an aggressive player, which is also why typically is interesting to cast. T-70 rushing forwards here, right through the center of the road here. Caught laying down the tower mine. I mean, obviously not a bad idea at all. But I'm a bit surprised Jimmy is not taking up here. Like, is he planning more Panzer Grenadiers with more Panzer Tracks? That'd be an interesting move, though. I feel like just going for Panzer just to equip the Panzer Tracks like that feels a bit, Panzer and the T-70 again. Good shot there, right for the engine block. I'm surprised just the lack of tech here for Jimmy. Is he planning on like another mechanized assault group? Like, I'm not entirely sure what Jimmy's going through. He was just like completely caught up in the front line fighting, is forgetting to tag up. I mean, that could be an option here, flanking the disc here. But to threaten it with a Geballte Ladung there. Which is just basically a bunch of shield Handgranate around a regular shield Handgranate, or warhead specifically. It was actually initially used as a way of clearing out trenches, I believe, but also as an early anti-tank weapon in World War I. It was also used at the early stage of World War II as well for that purpose. Guards Airborne out here for Paul.A.D. S5040s ahoy hoy. Can of course be equipped with either the assault package or the triple DP light machine guns. Things to the comes in the east. Finding some tech there for Jimmy. Definitely feel that it's a slightly awkward timing there. Could have that sooner. And at this point, I think could have possibly like started pushing for like an Austrian Panther 4, at least a Stug 3G. Hell, even like rushed out a Stug E, which could also have been quite a headache for Paul.A.D. Other guards airborne there. Going for that carve point. Should of course be upgraded here with something soon. There we go. Triple DP light machine guns there. Westwards never getting forward to the pines of the Western carve point here. T-70 strikes for the Red Army. And he's reinforcing healing. Tech almost done. Got the Panzer Shrek team moving forward that's there. Mines here in the center. Good spot. We do not actually have no mines from Jimmy, which that's actually a bit interesting. But at the same time, just I think being able to pressure Paul.A.D so efficiently, he hasn't had much time to lay down mines, so I guess it's just kind of slipped it. But typically against most players, at some point you really want minesweepers. Because the average player will absolutely punish you if you don't get minesweepers. Well, so let's try to push on the cemetery there. Small blocking detachment there for Paul.A.D. Guards end up pushing forward to the tree. 3 kills already. So Palmer coming up there for Jimmy and Germany. Panzer team, I think, will need to retreat here. Don't think they have much to go here against the Guards Airborne. Definitely feeling pressured here though by Paul.A.D. Despite having more infantry, again, the around the T-70, but also the Dishk and the Guards Airborne, all factors that helping keeping Jimmy contained. Though again, I think the fact he also just failed to take out fast enough to at least rush out something is another element that has sort of, you know, kind of worked against Jimmy here. Gonna go for a Panther 4. Certainly don't blame him for that. We also got a field gun out here for Paul.A.D, but, you know, following up with a pair of Stugs could be a decent idea here for Jimmy as well. quite useful for deploying smoke, but can also, you know, blast opponents if they start bunching up a bit. Still, Paul.A.D, of course, he's displaying some really potent map control skills here. Able to control Jimmy fairly well, despite, you know, being a bit under strength they compared him squad-wise at least. But again, he's got 4 versus 5, so it's not like it's a massive gap anymore. But again, as you can see here, sometimes a second T-70, while in some ways it can appear a bit counterintuitive, can still like have an effect on your opponent. Like for that T-70, Paul likely would have been without, you know, as much map control as it currently is. So obviously, it does actually make kind of sense there. And again, highlights sort of that light vehicular dynamic there is. But again, it's really one only that's available to the factions with the powerful light tanks like the T-70. So, little bit of food for thought there, but there you go. Panther right here for Jimmy and the 20th Panzer Division. Gonna use something used there, straight to mine. And this is, I think, where Jimmy's gonna start regretting not getting out minesweepers here. In fact, he may want to cancel that penalty machine gun, maybe. T-70 guy in the center, more Sandbags here for Paul.A.D. Solid work there, very powerful ability. Mechanized on the company, and then start following up with the T-34s from 6s. Panther 4 pushing to the cemetery. They got the Conscord there. We got the field gun here. Anti-tanker there. Damaging lightly the Panther 4, but nothing significant. Pushing for the car point in the east. We'll have to see what Jimmy follows up next. Maybe Stug E, maybe Stug G. Panther 4 more, of course. Also very likely have a Jimmy versus Paul.A.D. Got the T-70 flank up behind the Grenadiers with the carve point. Sadly, those shot munitions, so can't Panther Faust it. And so, has to retreat. But at least was able to cut off their Paul's fuel supply mildly. Grenadier. Ooh, yeah, that's going to go after the Grenadier. See it? Really good punish for Paul.A.D. Painful there for Jimmy. Painful. Mine's going off there as well. Needs more support for his Panzerkampfwagen here. There's all the infantry under Paul's command. There you go. Numerous grenades. They're impacting upon the armor of the Panzerkampfwagen Fear. And quick retreating there. Having done the deed. T-34 some skills for Paul.A.D. Flamer goes off. They're killing Otto. Could go for the Stug 3G now. Could also still up for a Panther 4. Honestly, may not be a bad idea to go for the Panther 4 first here, then follow up with the Stug. Just help deal with all the infantry and the support weapons. He's also lost, yeah, Grenadier squad there. In fact, he's lost, and I just lost one, so that's replacing it. You could, of course, at this point, maybe consider mixing in an Assault Grenadier squad. Can be a bit larger, can help rush out down support weapons, clear them out faster, and it's just harder to wipe at 6-man. Again, obviously, I understand why you don't want to, like, add a 6 Assault Grenadier squad even at this point in the game, but, you know, it's a consideration if you're going for Mechanized Assault, at least. Need to treat those Panther Grenadiers. That's it. Timing-wise, he might have wanted to wait a bit so he can just get out another Panther 4 faster. Because getting out 2 Panther 4s right now, I think would have given Jim here a pretty strong hand versus Paul.A.D. We'll have to see. Anyways, Panther wing westwards here. Machining Gewehr Grenadiers heading westwards there. Guards Airborne holding up. Panther 4s moving forwards. In the center, we've got Grenadiers with the Dishka Conscripts and the T-34s from 6 rolling straight ahead here. Telemines again disrupted here. At least he's trying. He just never can quite seem to get them down. Guards Airborne here with the light grenade here on the Grenadiers. That might actually be wiping on some actually freshly called in Grenadiers. That'd be painful there. Blow to Jimmy and the 20th Panzer Division. Good shot on the T-34. Mines going off the east. Flare mine killing Friedrich. A shoemaker from Baden-Baden. Machining Gewehr retreating in the west here. So what will Jimmy try to do next here? I mean, a Panther 4 now would be, I think, again, a very good choice. Stugis could be an option. Stugis. There's, of course, also the option like Ostwind or trying to go for tier 4. But I think going for tier 4 and maybe a Tiger Tank right now involves a lot of risks in terms of timing and getting Paul.A.D more time to ring up more stuff. Whereas where to get out of Panther 4 fast, I think they give more options like just hit Paul.A.D right where it hurts. Another thing to consider for Jim might actually be a mortar here. But again, Stugi could also do that job, honestly, with its ability to throw down smoke. Hansi Sestula here being caught by the constant. The T-34 from 6 will need to retreat. Panther 4 roaming eastwards. West side here we got good pioneers with grenadiers there. Front of X around east, here's the Panther 4 strikes for Deutschland. Does appear to be another Panther 4 for Jimmy. Meanwhile, Paul could actually go for another T-34 here. Back at base. Wow. Can go for that second Panther 4 now. There we go. Another Panzerkampfwagen here for Jimmy and the 20th Panzer Division. 8th Panzergrenadier Company. Pushed here by Paul.A.D with his Guards Airborne, backed up by some conscripts, even merged in some of the Guards Airborne as well there. Congratulations, you're now part of the Airborne. Do I get a parachute? Maybe. He's been caught with the T-7 the Guards Airborne. Again, really power strike force here. Again, grenades on retreat path here. Good chance of getting white P on it. We do have the infantry suppressing. Nope. Not enough here. Not enough. Another white P for Paul.A.D against Jimmy here. Deploying his forces again quite aggressively and effectively. Panther moving up there. Shoots but misses. Close call though. Second Panther 4 that's ramped here for Jimmy and the German Reich. T-4 in the centre. And the west side T comes falling back to more defensive positions alongside the Guards Airborne. Great shot on the Guards there, but almost caught them too there. Close call. Fortunately for Paul.A.D, though, did not quite turn out the way Jimmy had hoped. Their gun is about to get wiped out. Then we got the field being brought up here. Second Panther from the eastern side. I suppose you could plan to try and flank around here. Paul.A.D's right flank there, maybe. Panther 4 being pushed back here as Paul.A.D can attack more efficiently now. Panther 4 is back going for the deep flank here. At this point, though, a Stugi could be an addition here. Again, sort of decent self-propelled light artillery, but also its ability to deploy smoke. It's actually quite handy. It could support Jimmy during a sort of more aggressive assault here versus Paul.A.D. So that's something to consider for Jimmy. Meanwhile, though, Paul.A.D bring up the Su-5 medium tank destroyer. Which would later be replaced by the Su-5M medium tank destroyer. And then finally the Su-100. More grenadiers here for Jimmy. I think at this point he might want to consider some Panzer grenadiers or again even assault grenadiers. Again, just partly for a more sort of aggressive assault element. But in the case of the assault grenadiers, just something that's going to be a bit tougher for Paul to wipe than just a 4-man grenadier squad. That's just me. Slow pushing the same shape perhaps than the west. Panther 4 being fixed up. Ground these some fuel point here. Fairly sharp play by Jimmy. Paul.A.D's starting to focus a bit more around here. His part of the map here. Which does mean he's conceding ground in these pretty easily here to Jimmy. Of course, it does beg the question, what is Jimmy going to do next? More Panther 4s. Try and stall for a Tiger tank. Central Grenadiers. West side here we got the MG42 as the T-70. Panther 4, Panzer teaming up here. One rocket connects, the other one misses. Panther 4 moving up ahead as well there. T-34s and the Su-5 screen the flank that they're forcing. Well, he's causing Jim to pull back the tank there. Obviously, the tank didn't directly force it, but it's obviously the best choice there not to keep pursuing with a Panther 4 unless you got something else there going on. You've gained in their blast with the Panther 4, grab the eastern back. Fuel point and cut point there. Ensuring that Jimmy doesn't get too much fuel here. I imagine at this point Paul.A.D, of course, is quite aware of the potential for a Tiger tank and probably wants to make sure that Jimmy doesn't like suddenly chuck a Tiger tank out of him out of nowhere. Telemines here in the west. Diving in with the Panther 4 pretty aggressively. Fortunately, Jimmy, Paul.A.D's not been mining the cemetery a lot here. Panther was the T-34 from 6 around the centre. Got the T-70 in there. Second one down. A significantly a larger amount of trouble than the first one. Of course, by now, it's not going to matter too much. There's the T-34s and more of the stuff here to support him. Hit the telemine. But, fortunately for Paul, Jimmy can't really pursue it. Cannot finish off. We got a rocket strike here. Narrowly gets out of that one. Close call, though. Close call. Pushing up the east side with the few infantry squad C. Jessica covering the centre here for the glory of the Red Army. The gut gun is moving up here. Lots of light machine guns backed up by the Panzer Shreks. Paul.A.D is actually floating a lot of manpower here. He's going for more engineers. Definitely a very simple choice, but you could also consider another infantry squad. Maybe some guards airborne. You could also go for more support weapons, mortars, another field gun. Definitely don't think you should be floating 700 manpower here. And so Jimmy might be planning for a Tiger tank here, actually. Might be planning for it, I don't know. We're not really seeing much of the commander otherwise. I mean, we got the Mechanized assault group, and that's it. Usually convoys back by the Panzerkampfwagen 4. 5 kills. 5 kills. Paul, they're finding a bit more defensive. There we go. Guardsmen got captured by the Panther 4 on the retreat. Machine and Gewehr teams, both light and heavy, they are unleashing hell upon the retreating guards airborne. Sent seized by the Panzer team. Well, he can soon go for another Panther 4 again. He might be planning for the Tiger tank. It's a bit tough to say here with Jimmy. That said, if with 2 Panther 4s and a Panzer team, he's kind of at the spot where he could kind of get away with stalling for a Tiger tank. I mean, the Tiger tank going to go with that kind of force there, plus other infantry there. Could actually be tough there for Paul to deal with, as long as he doesn't like do anything completely silly with his Tiger tank. Which, you know, you can never quite rule out. So, but it's starting to look a bit more here like a Tiger tank now here for Jimmy and the 20th Panzer Division here. Handling these in the dish cap. And the guards able in the east without heavy cover. The gunneries are definitely forced to... I mean, they could have tried to get into heavy cover. They stood out in the open, so they were easy targets. And then Jimmy, perhaps thinking about the Tiger tank, decides, you know what? Let's just go for more Panther 4s. Which is honestly just actually quite cost efficient too, anyways. East side guards pushed back by the Panther 4 here. 8 kills, close to veterans 1. Almost going to wipe the guards there. Wouldn't that be pretty great to have for Jimmy? Panther on the west side getting shots, but pursued by the issue farm the conscripts. Falling back on the west here, Paul.A.D lays in pretty heavily. He's flooding a lot of manpower here, though. A lot of manpower. I definitely feel like Paul.A.D might want to start, like, you know, doing something with that manpower. But Panther almost done. We see him train in the center. Got 206, 290, 49. T-34 roaming about in the east for the glory of the Red Army. Field Gaming moves eastwards as well. Panther 4 hiding up. We got a Katyusha for Paul.A.D, the BM-13 Katyusha rocket truck. Here's the console on the west here. Panther 4 there, need repairs. Third one ready. You could actually go for like a fourth one here. You could also go for Stuke, G or E. You could probably actually go for both the Stuke and a G, honestly. Another field gun there for Paul.A.D though. Panzer teaming up here, catching the T-34-6 here, possibly the Raketen Panzerbuchse. One hits, the other misses. Gebaldeline in the conscripts. Handovers the T-34-6 field gun right around the corner here. It's going to make things tougher for Jimmy, for sure. We're shutting the T-34-6 through the hedges. West side a bit more pressure here from Jimmy on Paul's left flank. Second or first Panther 4, they're good to go again. Left flank here looking quite exposed to the tanks because he's brought in most of his anti-tank towards the east side. Now we got the field gun and a Katyusha running at the same time. Comes there being wrecked apart by Panther 4 fire here. Lots of high explosives, machine gun fire there, raking them with hot Germanic death. And the guards have pushing up here. Ace level there, 13 kills, grenades off here. Panther 4 with a bit of damage here from the Nation 5 tank destroyer, and of course the field gun. Could soon go for 4th Panther 4. Well, again, he could be planning to store for a Tiger tank. Going for more Pioneers, though. Definitely with that many tanks anyways, he's going to need more Pioneers. A very solid play there by Jimmy. Thumbs up to that. Never neglect having enough Pioneers. Panzer team being pushed back. Go. More Pioneers for Jimmy in the 20th Panzer Division. Panther 4 there. About 1/3 of the way towards within the ace level. Katyusha fast around the center here. Seems a bit desperate at Paul.A.D. Massive rockets right there, hoping to stop Jimmy from grabbing the center there, it seems. So what will Jimmy go for next? What will he be planning? Katyusha could be in trouble here, though. I mean, arguably, so got the field gun, but there got artillery barrage called in. That said, I don't feel like it might work out, but still think that more troops committed here to like, oh, there we go, got the field gun, but he's, I think, too quick to fall back in, so can't exploit the damage from some destroy the field gun. Bit missed opportunity there by Jimmy, to be honest. Bit of a missed opportunity. Great though for Paul, though. Absolutely amazing. Make no mistake on that account. H-12 falling back in the east for Paul.A.D. Panzer team, of course, trying to knock it out with a few rockets. Hunting body with the Panther 4. And he's got pretty good control of the situation. I mean, just having a bunch of tanks and a bunch of infantry, I mean, does make for a fairly potent force if you can wield it correctly. You can still like go for Stugi or G soon, or just save up for another Panther 4. And of course, there's the option of just trying to hold out for a Tiger tank. But so far, Jimmy is sort of just not making any clear indicators of what he's planning for. That Panzer team needs to get out there before they get annihilated. 187 to 234. I mean, with that many Panther 4s and, you know, that much infantry, do you feel like Jimmy could get away with like a pretty strong push? Like, this part of the map for some zones, like you attack from the front of the infantry, could rush in with the Panther 4 from this west here and hit with the artillery at the right spot. I think could actually deliver a crushing blow to Paul.A.D. But so far, Jimmy seems unwilling to commit. Hard to say why, though. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay. Oh well, never mind. Artillery barrage on the field gun again. Moving in the Panther 4s now. You can even like blitz them, honestly, some of them. Sort of going there, but the other Panther 4 down south is not moving in. But there you go, catching Paul in a pretty bad spot here. Film crew there wiped out. L1 also in danger of being annihilated here by the German Panzerwaffe. Third Panther 4 still not moving. Center being kind of conceded here to Pauline as all this is happening. Panther 4s are wildly whiffing on that field gun. That is really lucky there for Paul.A.D. Really lucky, didn't destroy the other one. Now the Panther 4 disengaged here. And I really don't get why that Panther 4's moving. Maybe he's just trying to keep things like under control here in his head. I don't know. Well, he did get the Katyusha, and he does gain another Panther 4 there with the armored Schutzen. On the side skirts. H5 of 82, Panther 4 of course also 82. Could still commit the more veteran Panther 4 to the fight here, but decides not to. Got the T-Foot rushing in here, back at base trip reinforcing healing. Plenty of fuel for Jimmy, just not really enough manpower. Till a strike here on the center where Paul.A.D's forces are bunched up. Moving in the Panther 4s again, the other ones. Bit chaotic here again. Pantry team here flanking the T-34s and 6. Got a few hits there with the Offenwehr, which was the nickname of the Panzerschreck, because they actually created an incredible amount of, you know, smoke whenever fired, which kind of gained away the precision. It also initially forced them to, before they added these gun shields on the Panzerschreck, to wear gas masks and gloves, because otherwise, well, they get caught up in the very noxious fumes of the Panzerschreck. Releasing the east there, Panther 4's being fixed up. Still indicators what he's planning here. Over all these tanks. Paul.A.D, meanwhile, he's just finding a very defensive fight around here, the center. Johan 85 is 224. And the Stugi was still about like a decent addition here for Jimmy with all this armor. Just, again, smoke out the field guns, but as others problematic, and just blast the rest of the high explosive shells. Seems like Jimmy is not big on Sturmgeschütze at all. Bit of a shame, really. This comes from the center. West was there. Panther 4's been good to go. And he's being suppressed with the Dishka. Ace level there.
Enemy forces are attempting to
Panther 4 slowly getting ready. Could soon go for 4th one, I guess. And certainly 4 Panther 4s is a lot of Panther 4s. So it does appear like he's perhaps not playing that. He's just constantly reinforcing other stuff, so I don't know. Hard to say with Jimmy. Can't quite read his mind, now can we? Machine gun as the guards airborne. T-Fed rushing head straight machine gun. Claremont's going down here. Panther 4 shoots whiffs. Machine gun needs to get out of there. Panther team gun is coming up here. Jimmy, I feel like, is making a bit of a mistake here. Like, he's attacking singularly with his tanks, which, for the advanced tank tactician, is a pretty bad idea, as should be easily understandable as a idea, because, again, it makes it easy for Paul.A.D to just deal with the tanks one at a time, whereas, again, attack with all of them at the same time. Obviously, managing them becomes a bit more difficult. But, again, Jimmy sort of just kind of whiffed the assault here, and made it very easy for Paul to just shoot the Panther 4s down. Costing one Panther 4 easily, the other one heavily damaged, and the other one also disengaged. Now, that was definitely a pretty weak attack here, but Jimmy goes for another Panther 4 here. Could have had one out sooner as well. But definitely shouldn't attack like that. There should have been infantry, and crucially, all of the tanks should have been attacking at the same time. They should actually have been blitzed at the same time. Instead, Jimmy ended up, like, you know, going in pretty awkwardly and then only blitzed to get out of there. I definitely feel like that was a significant tactical area, as you can see there. And main fact just won this fight in Paul.A.D's favour, because Jimmy's also now lost a lot more infantry. This is where maybe some assault grenades also could have been handy, because they can absorb more losses, but could also similarly go straight to get in there. Anyways, at least it's the more veteran Panther 4s, and both of them are pretty close to the ace level. They do get a mobility boost and a rate of fire boost, which is obviously quite good. As the cool kids in Germany say, quadratisch, praktisch, good. Anyways, Panther 4 then, Jimmy! He's doing it again! He's sending in his tanks one at a time against an opponent who's quite good at, like, pointing all of his guns at large singular targets. Definitely a bit of a lapse in judgment here by Jimmy on a tactical level there, for sure, operational even. Guessing perhaps Jimmy's starting to feel stressed out here. Perhaps he's just, like, you know, felt like he's lost the match in some way and is trying to desperately regain it, but it's causing him to like to commit more mistakes here. You see him losing more infantry, so he's definitely struggling around much more now to, like, make an impact. And there you go, hits the mine here with his already damaged Panther 4. Ace of that, knocked out here. Does seem like Jimmy at this point is basically just flailing about here. Like an inebriated man on thin ice, he's about to, you know, completely fall through it. T-Field flanking the near ace Panther 4 field. Not to get a good hit him. Do get a blitzkrieg, but again to get out of there. So yeah. If Guderian was watching this, or any other great, you know, German Panzer commander, they probably give him a bit of a dressing down for that performance. Graham sent to the machine and give it here, but that's straight to the Dishka. So yeah, at this point, it does feel like the match has rather fallen to the favour of Paul.A.D. I mean, the only advantage Jimmy still has in theory is, like, all the fuel, but again, manpower-wise, he's at this stage just bleeding out so fast he can't quite leverage it either. Going for more Pioneers. I don't think going for 3 Pioneers is going to help him. Also, he's just lost the Panther 4, really needs to repair anyways. H5, their ace level, really powerful, obviously. Good rate of fire, good penetration, good mobility. Panther 4 ace, near ace taking a hit there. Far East Panther 4 putting back the consequences, but Jimmy is again, is just kind of flailing about here. His force just lacks the firepower to really make an impact on Paul.A.D. Late game surges like this are very, very difficult to manage, and typically requires you launch a really strong, focused assault that just really delivers the damage, and the way Jimmy's moving about is obviously the exact opposite of what he needs to do here versus Paul.A.D. So, at this point, Paul.A.D is incredibly favored over Jimmy, to put it gently. I mean, in theory, Jimmy could still turn this around, but it would require, I think, Paul.A.D's like make a massive mistake. We're talking like the sort of mistake that, you know, would cause a rift in time to appear in the NKVD to drag him back to like 1934 or 43, you know, to send him to a gulag. That kind of little mistake there. T-34 there, pursuing the Panther 4. Now he's attacking again. Notice he's attacking with a bit more force here against Jimmy, who's further spread out here. Is now being just utterly crushed here by Paul. So we got 88 versus 214 at this point. I would say the jig is up here for Jimmy. At this point, just Paul has hit critical Soviet mass. And there's just nothing the Wehrmacht late game can really do to respond to this. And yeah, I think he's left the game. We're just waiting for the game to react to Jimmy as leaving it. Has left it. So GG. A fierce fight here. Some decent mechanized assault, though. Certainly not quite as extensive as what I'd like to see, but it was nice to see that mechanized assault group there. Initially, some good armor action as well, but ultimately, Jimmy just couldn't quite fully coordinate it. Made some crucial mistakes, but also feel like failed to like exploit the opportunities when they were there. Like, you could destroy the field guns. I think he actually done that. That made things much tougher for Paul.A.D there, but again, he just, you know, failed to push through when he had the opportunity. In a sense, you know, the Kursk syndrome, you know, push harder when you actually can instead of allowing your opponents to do it again. So, yeah, crushed by the third late game and then just, you know, didn't do anything to, like, mitigate it. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. I learned something from it. Hope it gives you some matches. If it did, subscribe, like, share, comment. And, you know, consider donating on Patreon. This is Pro LinkedIn. Cheers. See you all tomorrow for another episode. Bye.